Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to New Life Live. We are so glad you're with us today, and we have really two great folks. I love doing radio with both these folks. One, Dr. Jill Hubbard is in the studio, and we're so grateful for Jill. She really is. When it comes down to it, I've worked with her for years. We've been friends, raised kids together, all that stuff, and she just has some wisdom beyond what any other woman I've ever worked with, and it just gets better and better. Of course, we've got Dr. Sherry Keffer, too, unbelievable, and then Alice. We're really blessed with some wise women there. But one of your favorites is on today, if not your favorite. Dr. Daniel Amen is on, and he is on remotely today. We'll take him any way we can, because some of you, you old-timers here, are regular listeners. You know that when we have somebody on remote who's hosting, we might have a second or two extra delay, and so it might sound like we're stepping on each other's toes, but you've seen this on all the news programs, how there's a little bit of a delay. We might have that today. Bear with us there. But Dr. Amen is the author of The End of Mental Illness. I want to tell you something. It is a book everybody who's ever struggled or wants to help somebody that's struggling, you need to read this, because it'll give you insight you won't find other places. Dr. Amen, welcome. How you doing?
Hey, Steve. What a joy to be with you again during these unusual times.
Yeah, really. Well, how are you doing these days? Anything new on the brain front that we need to know about?
Well, I'm getting ready to publish a new study on 35,000 scans that there's virtually a linear correlation between weight and brain function. As your weight goes up, the function of your brain goes down, which, of course, should scare the fat off anyone.
Yes.
That's the third time I've published this result. And then, I have a very exciting new project that I created, something called Happy Saffron to support people's mood. It's got curcumin and zinc and saffron. And there's a whole group of studies showing saffron enhances female sexual function. And the first month, I got 4 testimonials, Viagra for women. So I'm going to do a randomized placebo-controlled trial just because, during these stressful times, our stress hormones steal our sex hormones, and people have been struggling with low libido and performance, even though there's more time. So I'm
wonderful.
Excited about natural ways to help people's lives.
Well, I would love for that to have an impact, because if two people are struggling and they're able to, in a healthy way, come together sexually, there are just things that occur physiologically, emotionally, spiritually, that when you just shut that down, they don't happen. And we hear it all the time. We haven't had sex in 5 years, 10 years. And so, when we do our intimacy in marriage weekend in July, I want to mention that to folks. If you want to join Dr. Amen, Dr. Jill Hubbard, Steve Arterburn here, 1-800-229-3000. If you give a gift of any amount for this great book, I'll send you a copy of it. I don't care what you have. I want you to have it. $2, $20, whatever, and it'll be matched when you send it. We'll send you the book, gift of any amount.
After I found the pornography on the internet, I said, you either get help or I have to leave this household.
Every day, thousands of women discover their husband is struggling with sexual integrity. And since shelter-in-place orders have gone into effect, traffic to porn sites has skyrocketed. New Life's Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
I believed that I could do it on my own. I just believed if I tried hard enough and pulled myself up hard enough by my bootstraps, I could do it. It was a battle that I'd had all my life. I had to get help.
The Every Man's Battle workshop can be a trip to the sexual addiction emergency room. During this time of social distancing, the Every Man's Battle workshop will be held online Saturday, June 27th. Find sexual integrity, accountability, and connection. Register now to reserve a place at the Every Man's Battle online workshop. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
The single most helpful thing was to realize that I wasn't the weirdest guy on the planet.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEWLIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Yesterday, we had a call from Jan, and it was something that I wanted Dr. Amen to be able to address. Jan is back on the line today, and, she was talking about her 67-year-old daughter and had a question that just Dr. Amen ought to, if anybody would know, Dr. Amen would. So, Jan from St. Paul listens on the internet. You're on with Steve Arterburn and Dr. Amen. How you doing today? I'm glad you called back.
Thank you very much. Anxious to hear what Dr. Amen can help.
Well, ask him your question.
Well, she was diagnosed after an MRI with the corticobasal degeneration, CBD, and I want to know what the best help we can get for her. Will a brain spec help shed more light? Apparently there's no direction for her right now.
Hi, Jan. Thank you so much for the question. Corticobasal or degeneration is certain areas of the brain are atrophying, dying, and a SPECT scan probably wouldn't help, but my book, Memory Rescue, would. So something is damaging her brain. And too often, with conditions like that, or Parkinson's, or Alzheimer's disease, or Lewy body dementia, the doctors never give you hope or tell you to put the brain in a healing environment. So obviously something is going wrong. We're not exactly sure what causes it, but in Memory Rescue, I talk about Bright Minds, the 11 major risk factors that steal your mind. And if you can identify some of them for her and work on repairing them, hopefully that will slow the progression of the disease.
So,
Wonderful.
Indeed, you think it's going to benefit her, and it's available to anybody, right?
Yes, and people, when they get these diagnoses, unfortunately, the doctors don't talk about optimizing your diet, using simple supplements, increasing your omega-3 fatty acid level, getting rid of other risk factors, whether it's diabetes or obesity or hypertension. I mean, really working to keep the organ, your brain, healthy can be helpful, and it's never going to make it worse.
Yeah, good to hear. Okay, Jan, I'm going to send you a copy of his book, The End of Mental Illness, just to reward you for calling back, but there is something there. Really glad that you called. And Dr. Amen has so many different types and levels of help, and I just can't encourage you more to go to his website and see what's there that might benefit you or somebody that you love. And so they would go where, Dr. Amen? What's the website?
AmenClinics.com. So Amen, like the last word in a prayer, clinics.com.
All right. 1-800-229-3000. Dr. Jill Hubbard is in the studio, and I was saying nice things about you, Jill,
Aw.
and so don't let me down. Let's how about this? Let's
Hi,
go
guys.
to let's go to Shirley, and she's calling from Peoria, Illinois, WPEO. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I do thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What's going
I
on?
will try to say it quick. Okay. I had a severe debilitating accident January of 18. After the accident, I had 3 strokes. The 3 stroke side effects affected my mind and my vision, my memory. I am asking how I can best up myself. I want to know, will I continue to have more floaters and do brain supplements help somebody like me?
I'm so sorry, Shirley, and I'm really glad that you called us. Dr. Raymond, you must hear these kinds of calls or have these conversations all the time.
I do. Shirley, what kind of accident happened in January of 18?
I got out of my car at home and I because I live in the north, and so there was snow and ice, but our driveway appeared to just be wet. Well, it wasn't, and it was black ice, and so it took the top of my shoulder all the way down to my hand. And I'm not going to heal from that, but I can handle that. But whenever it affects my sight and my memory and my brain, that bothers me.
Yeah.
I bet. And one of the things I learned from our work with brain SPECT imaging, SPECT is a study that looks at blood flow and activity, looks at how the brain works, and it was actually originally developed in the 1980s to look at stroke along with traumatic brain injury. And one of the early lessons I learned is, yes, you can have a stroke, and a stroke is either where a blood vessel breaks and the brain tissue around it dies, or a blood clot goes and chokes off a blood vessel, and again, brain tissue around that dies. But there's other tissue that's around the stroke that tends to be hurt, but it's not dead, it's sleeping. And so putting your brain in a healing environment can often help you recover some of the function. Now, if you've had 3 strokes, it means you're vulnerable to have more, but it doesn't mean you have to have more. And so putting the brain in a healing environment is so important. And so supplements can be helpful. In the end of mental illness, there's actually a whole chapter on mind medicine versus nutraceuticals or supplements. And I always was taught in medical school, first do no harm. And so I tend to use supplements before I use medication. And so multiple vitamin, fish oil, optimize your vitamin D level. And then things like ginkgo can actually be really helpful. Now, it's important to talk to your doctor to make sure they fit with your medication and your other plans. But and then you want to make sure you're eating right. And the dark thoughts, I call them ants, the automatic negative thoughts that often come after you had a stroke because you lose function, and so you actually grieve the loss of how you were. It's so important to, when you feel sad or mad, to write down what you're thinking and then just correct your thoughts. It's just so important to get physically as healthy as you can, psychologically as healthy.
Yeah, that's when you come to
can.
somebody like me, right? And
Yeah.
you work through the ants
That's right.
for that
Jill,
piece.
Jill and her team, or any of our clinicians,
Yes.
help with that, and then you partner with, the best medical care possible. But Shirley, I'll send you a copy of the book also. But Dr. Amen, here's what I so appreciate. I came to you. I was interested in, if people don't know this story, I was interested in kind of what kind of attention deficit disorder did I have. We did some tests, scan. You looked at it. You weren't happy. I did more tests. And essentially, I left knowing that left unattended, things could go the wrong way. So I left there very motivated to do the very best I could with what I had. Well, 6 months later, after working with you, taking supplements, using a CPAP, exercising a different way, I was on vacation with my wife, forgot my phone, which might be an indication still brain problem, but actually it's a long-term attention deficit situation. We go up to the rental car counter. I don't have my phone, and when they ask for my confirmation number, I just rattle off a 9-digit number that I still remembered. I didn't have my phone to remember it, and then we went to the hotel. The same thing happened, and so I had to send you an email. Well, the story gets even better. Dr. Amen writes that up in one of his books. I sit on an airplane. I missed a flight, got on this other flight. Lila Rose, this woman that is now a friend of the ministry and mine and Dr. Amen, and she started a website for helping women and helping preserve life. Has about 10 million followers. She's looking on her iPad, and I said, you're going to think this is weird, but the person you're reading about there, that's me. I'm a friend of Dr. Amen. That's my story. And so they got together. Well, I'm just telling you, the thing that I love is I don't know what my brain's going to do tomorrow, but I know this. It's doing a lot better than it ever would have if I hadn't come to know Dr. Amen, and I'm so grateful for Dr. Sherry Keffer for that. So I just encourage people, go do what you can with whatever resources you have. It sure isn't going to hurt, but it just might really have some incredible results. If you want to talk to Dr. Amen right now, it's 1-800-229-3000. Let's go to, how about we talk with, let's talk with Marcus from Baltimore, Maryland. WAVA is the station. Hey, Marcus, how are you today? What's going on?
I'm doing fine. Thank you. Thanks for taking my call. I have a question for Dr. Amen. Dr. Amen, I like to cook, and I use saffron. It's an ounce for 60. How much saffron are we talking about?
What was that you said? You said something about an ounce, 60 or something. You talking about the price?
Saffron.
Yeah.
Yes, it's about $65. So
Okay.
we talked about the reaction that saffron has on women. So,
Okay, and your question
that's a
for
great
him?
question.
saffron we talking about?
Yeah.
So how much saffron? 30 milligrams is the dose that has been in most of the studies. And it's something that you actually take every day. So you may not be able to cook with that much. But when I learned about saffron, I actually live in a community where there's a fair number of Persian families. And I was at a party and I was talking about it. And one of my Persian friends said, well, it's part of folklore in Iran that if you're too happy, you must have had saffron. And so I really remember that and pay attention to that. And so I think cooking with saffron, yes, it is the world's most expensive spice. But, you pay for it either way. You pay for sadness. People don't understand that. You pay if you have no libido and your partner does have a libido. If you're not matched appropriately, there's stress with that. So I think saffron's a great investment.
All right. Marcus, I hope that answers your question. And I'm going to send you a copy of this wonderful book, The End of Mental Illness. And really, it's a book about seeing our problems with our brain, emotions, the genetic predispositions we have, some of the disorders. from a really non-shaming, different perspective than we've looked at it for a very, very long time. And so really the hope is that we'd start looking at that brain of ours like any organ and treat it so. And what Dr. Amen has done that so few have, he's committed to seeing what's there rather than assuming what it is. And I just love that. So always love having him on. 1-800-229-3000. We'll do 2 programs today. Really does benefit you to call in, because I'm going to give every caller a copy of that book. So you'll love it. And a gift of any amount, we need your help. We'll match it. Maybe you were going to help 1 person. We'll help 2 because of your gift. I'll write out to you the end of mental illness. We'll be back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here, Dr. Jill Hubbard. She is the author of Forgiving Our Fathers and Mothers. Maybe you just went through a Father's Day and you're thinking, yeah, I need that book. I need to do some work here. If your father traumatized you for any reason, maybe you can do some acceptance, some forgiveness, some grieving, and get beyond that. We'd love
Which
for that.
is good for your brain.
Very good.
I think Dr. Amen might agree.
Yeah. We've said it before, a justifiable resentment is just about as dangerous as plutonium. It'll kill you. And so we want to help you get over that. Also, I am at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm going deeper, and I'm going through the 12 steps in divorce recovery. So if you would like to take a little different angle on how your divorce played out and your response to it, I can help you with that. I'm really enjoying going deeper with folks there. And that's 5 Eastern and 2 o'clock Pacific. Let's go back to the phones and let's talk with Elizabeth. Elizabeth's calling from Tacoma, Washington, the great station KGNW. Hi there. How are you today?
Fine. How are you? Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's going on?
Okay. I have an 18-year-old daughter, and we just found out in February she has nonverbal learning disorder. It's similar to Asperger's syndrome, and she went undiagnosed for all these years.
Mm-hmm.
I knew something was different about her, but I didn't know what, because I knew it wasn't autism. I've never heard of nonverbal learning disorder, and hoping Dr. Amon knows about it, maybe. Anyway, she went to Planned Parenthood a couple of weeks ago, against my knowledge, and she got a prescription for testosterone. And I know they don't know about her learning disorder, and they don't know about all her mental health struggles. She has had all her life because of this being undiagnosed with this learning disability. She's got a history of trauma from being bullied and sexual assault that happened at 14. She has anxiety, depression, social problems, ADD. She's impulsive. She has poor insight, and she's unable to anticipate consequences, and she has sensory issues. And it's like she does not see the big picture. She won't listen to reason about this.
Okay, so the reason she asked them for testosterone was?
Oh, well, she's been saying off and on since she was 14 she was transgender. She kind of got the idea from kids at school and the internet. I mean, she didn't grow up saying this. It was kind of rapid onset.
Okay, so
gender dysphoria.
Let me have Dr. Amon respond, and then maybe there's some other areas he wants to go into.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my goodness, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I do know about nonverbal learning disabilities. Not many people know about them, but they have trouble with social skills. They don't read social situations like other people do. And to get a diagnosis of autism or Asperger's, you really need three things: issues with language, obsessiveness, so there's an obsessive focus, and you don't read social situations very well. If you just have one of those, where you don't read social situations very well, they call it a non-verbal learning disability that usually affects the right side of the brain. But that's not the only thing going on with your daughter. You know, if you have emotional trauma, impulse control issues, poor insight, for me, I'd want to look at her brain because, it could have been an infection when you were pregnant with her. It could have been she had physical trauma when she was young. It could have been she was in a mold-filled house at some point. But obviously something's not right. And the easy thing always is to say someone's bad. The harder thing is to go, why this is going on? And it's obviously not one thing. It's not a simple thing. To just take testosterone, if your testosterone level is fine, is generally a mistake because it can make someone hypersexual and decrease their empathy. But I have just seen this rash of low testosterone, both in men and women, young men and young women, and I think it may actually relate to the toxins we put on our bodies because, testosterone is a critical hormone for mood and memory and strength and motivation. And when it's not right, people just don't feel right. So I'd be surprised if they just gave her testosterone without measuring it. That would seem like a really bad idea to me. But it's complicated. And that's why in my book, The End of Mental Illness, I hate sort of the alphabet soup. We give people these names, ADD, OCD, ODD, whatever. And no one's really thinking about the underlying biology that we can often make better.
Did, just wondering, Elizabeth, anybody give you any advice when she told you she thought she was transgender that helped you connect with her over this or not?
Not really. It's hard to find help here in Washington.
Well, when we come back, I want Dr. Jill to talk to you a little bit about that piece of when we are in these tough parenting situations, what is the best course to build, maintain, or restore some connection, because otherwise we lose our kids forever, for good. We'll be back after this.
after I found the pornography on the internet, I said, you either get help or I have to leave this household.
Every day, thousands of women discover their husband is struggling with sexual integrity. And since shelter-in-place orders have gone into effect, traffic to porn sites has skyrocketed. New Life's Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
I believed that I could do it on my own. I just believed if I tried hard enough and pulled myself up hard enough by my bootstraps, I could do it. It was a battle that I'd had all my life. I had to get help.
The Every Man's Battle workshop can be a trip to the sexual addiction emergency room. During this time of social distancing, the Every Man's Battle workshop will be held online Saturday, June 27th. Find sexual integrity, accountability, and connection. Register now to reserve a place at the Every Man's Battle online workshop. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
The single most helpful thing was to realize that I wasn't the weirdest guy on the planet.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEWLIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Jill, I just wanted you to address the connection here because obviously Elizabeth didn't want her daughter going to Planned Parenthood. And
I know. I'm so sorry, Elizabeth. It's so scary because at 18, they really often aren't adult. And with all that your daughter has going on, she's she's delayed in her maturation. And so, one of the things I think is the idea of getting a brain scan and letting Dr. Amen's team kind of look at, because she has so many things, and to really, before she dives into just addressing one issue, which Planned Parenthood is giving her, let's look at the whole picture, which then would also delay the process of these other interventions that she's seeking out on her own, and get kind of a map of what they could do to help her. I think, with a kid like this, and I'm sure, this is a lot of hands-on with all of her issues. But I think sometimes getting out of your regular environment, take her away for a weekend, spend some one-on-one time with her, doing things she likes to do where there's a relaxed environment so that you guys can talk and connect and try to really, hear her and understand her heart, and just all of the hurt that she has had. I mean, this girl has to do a lot of grieving. She's had rejection at every turn.
She has, yeah. And I just want to add this.
Yes.
When I go to see my counselor, there are two issues. I've shared this with before. We always talk about how do we love well in difficult circumstances, and what are our motives. And I think if your motive is just to connect with her and love her and spend time with her, she'll sense that, and she'll know that you really do care and love her no matter what. But I really think that, we were just talking at the break. I know of situations where people have been in the midst of, they think they're transgender, and some folks with really healthy love and motives of the same sex love on them, and they decide, I've even known of situations where they stopped a sex change even because they had never been loved and never had anybody purely love them without an agenda. Now, I'm not saying that Elizabeth has an agenda in her love with her daughter, but I'm saying don't give up hope about what might happen here. Connect with her, love her, and boy, I would really get her to an Amen
Yeah.
clinic.
Well, and
Yeah.
Steve, that sense of belonging is so important,
Yeah.
right? So,
It really is.
you know, the connection with mom and dad, and then a sense of belonging to find some kind of community. And maybe it's a social skills group where they teach you how to connect with other people. There's a lot of those for people on the spectrum that can be really, really powerful.
All right, let's go to Marty. He's calling from Fredericksburg, Virginia. WAVA is the station. Marty, how are you today? You're on with Dr. Amen, Dr. Jill Hubbard.
I am doing well. It's actually Frederick, Maryland.
Thank you for that clarification. I couldn't see the end of it. I just assumed. Yeah. So, hi.
That's okay.
I'm coming there to
I'm doing
speak
good.
very
Hi.
soon.
Well, thank you for taking my call.
Yeah.
I have several things. I've suffered from addiction most of my life, but I am in recovery now, and I've been in recovery for the better part of the last 15 years with a couple of relapses. But I'm doing well. I do have ADD, and I'm wondering if people, and I also have social anxiety, which I really notice when I come off of substance abuse. I've really noticed it a lot.
Of course. That makes perfect sense.
Okay. And but the ADD, I'm wondering, does that make me more prone or vulnerable to like dementia or Alzheimer's or forgetfulness? Lately,
Dr. Amen, what do you think?
remember people's names as well.
Yeah. And you're 52 with ADD. Want to know if you're more prone to dementia?
No, not that we know about yet. You know, a number of people have looked at that. More prone to Parkinson's. There's a dementia that goes with Parkinson's called Lewy body dementia. That's what Robin Williams died of, who also had ADD and addiction. And so one reason you want to, you know, for motivation to stay sober is the substances damage the pleasure centers in your brain. They wear them out. And those pleasure centers also, if you wear them out, it puts you at greater risk for Parkinson's disease and that form of dementia. A lot of people don't know, having untreated ADD, because many people think ADD is a joke or ADD is a fad. But when left untreated, 52% of people with ADD, according to a study from Harvard, will struggle with an addiction. So there's a huge connection between untreated ADD and addiction. So getting your ADD treated either with supplements or medication or lifestyle factors, so important, because if you have impulse control issues and you have an addiction, well, an addiction is in large part an impulse control issue. So getting the ADD treated is so important in order to stay sober.
All right, I'm really
better medicine.
Y'all go ahead.
Commercial coming here. I can't take the Ritalin type stuff. They say that works really well because I do have AFib as well. So I don't know what might be a good alternative for me that's not going to make me nervous or anything like that for ADD. I don't know if there is anything.
So I have a book called Healing ADD where I talk about ADD is not one thing. It's 7 different things. So that would be a good thing for you to pick up. Also, we have a free brain health assessment. Know what type your brain is and then what supplements might be good for your type. I know a lot about AFib, and a lot of the stimulants are not great. So, but there are all sorts of natural ways to optimize and support your brain. The first step is you want to be obsessed with brain health. I mean, you want to love your brain because it takes you through everything in your life. And if you love your brain, obviously you're not going to want to poison your brain. That's what marijuana, cocaine, alcohol, Steve, did you hear this week? I actually wrote a blog. It's one of our best blogs ever. The title is I Told You So. The American Cancer Society came out last week and said you shouldn't drink.
I saw that.
Alcohol is a risk factor for cancer. I mean, there are so many other reasons not to drink, but, you know, for the American Cancer Society to come out
I traded it for something
and
else.
Well,
to answer your question, Dr. Amen,
and take care of it.
Yeah, I did. I didn't see the news release, but I did see your blog about it and told my wife about it. But I think it is fascinating to see people go from a little bit is okay to actually believing you'd just be better off without it. And me and all of the Mormons and other folks that are abstinent, we've benefited from it. By the way, we got to go to a break here in just a second. But I do know that the people around me know whether or not I've had my medication or not. My wife's worst nightmare is, it's a beautiful day today. I think I'll just not take that stuff. But the supplements, medication that's appropriate, these things, you find that you're not a victim. You have some way to make it better. And if you need some help with that, you can go to theamenclinics.com. Now, let me remind you, a gift of any amount today, I'm going to send you The End of Mental Illness, Dr. Amen's latest book. And I'll tell you, if you've got a problem with what the psychiatric community or psychological community have done with certain things and concepts, this is going to clear that up for you. And there's a fascinating first part of the book there that talks about the history that, at one point, if you'd had a problem, they'd have drilled a hole in your head and just things like that. Very great reading, but very, very insightful. And we're very thankful to have Dr. Amen on the program. When we come back, we'll hear from Larry Sonnenberg and then take another phone call. We'll do another program after that, 1-800-229-3000. But let me tell you, if you want to join Club New Life, it's just $30 a month. And I will say thank you with our Transformation Welcome Kit, the Life Recovery Bible, a workbook for all things, and a journal, 4 seasons of recovery in that journal. And then a workbook on grief, another on eating disorder, another on sexual integrity, and the one on divorce that I'm going through on Facebook Live, going deeper at 5 o'clock. If you want to be part of Club New Life, all of the transformation that we get to see, you're part of too. $30 a month. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll take a break, come right back for more of New Life Live. Glad you're here.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the Transformation Welcome Gift, which includes a personal-sized Life Recovery Bible, a Life Recovery Journal, and 5 Life Recovery Workbooks. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops.
I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's been immensely helpful to me. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here, and I want Dr. Larry Sonnenberg to talk to us because he can make you feel better just by doing this thing called being generous. But Larry, you go to all of the Every Man's Battle workshops. We've got one coming up Saturday.
We do.
And I want you to talk to women because, often they're the ones that make that first phone call. And I just think it's foolish for them to go, well, he really has to want to go. You've seen guys hate being there, and then they become the biggest advocate for Every Man's Battle.
So my encouragement is don't wait for him to say, okay, I'll go. I mean, at some point he's got to give in to it. But you can push and you can say, no, you're going. You can put up let your boundary be known. If you don't go, then whatever the consequence might be, we have women say we're done if you don't go.
Yeah.
And in every case, I'm not suggesting that, but it's a possibility. But ladies, the things that happen real quick. One gentleman said, I'm confident that I'll be set free from the shackles that have kept me bound for many years. Another said, this weekend's far surpassed any expectation I had. I've had massive weight lifted off me. And then my inspiration is my 2-month-old son. I was in darkness. Being in a room with men who had gone through similar situations was a light. And the last guy here says, I entered this weekend nervous and apprehensive, but I found understanding without judgment of my past sins.
There it is.
And so that's why we do what we do. It makes a huge difference, and it's generational. You change the life right now of a man who's had these issues, and hopefully he gets his life straightened out. It's not generational. His kids won't have it, and his kids won't, because he'll know what to do and how to raise them. So,
changes everything. It really does. And I'll tell you, it's pretty rare that a man doesn't respond in the presence of these other men and our clinicians, and with Jason Martinkus speaking. If you're a woman, I want to encourage you to encourage him. If he's been unfaithful, I would be demanding it, because then you know whether or not he's going to pull this thing together or not.
And believe it or not, the Holy Spirit works through that technology. So send them.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's go back. We'll take another phone call here, and then please hang on, because we'll do another program here with Dr. Amen right after this. But let's go to Debbie, and she listens to WAVA. Hi, Debbie. How are you?
I'm fine.
You're on with Dr. Amen.
Yeah, I have a question for him.
Okay.
And thank you for taking my phone call. I have Parkinson's, and what can I do differently concerning this disease and have a healthier brain?
Well, what a lot of people never talk about is putting that brain in a healing environment. So Parkinson's starts off as a movement disorder, but cells that produce dopamine in your brain, one of the most important neurotransmitters, actually begin to die in an area called the substantia nigra. So those cells begin to die, and one has to ask, well, why are they dying? And often it's exposure to heavy metals or environmental toxins, toxins we put on our body, and it becomes progressive over time, and then begins not only to affect our muscles and tremors, but our motivation goes down, our mood can go down, our memory can go down. And so it is just absolutely essential to put your brain in a healing environment. And a long time ago, I realized if you want to keep your brain healthy or rescue it if it's headed for the dark place, You have to prevent or treat the 11 major risk factors that steal your mind. In the end of mental illness, I go through each of those. But when I think of Parkinson's disease, I often think of toxins that have invaded our body. So to make sure you're not drinking, you're not doing any kinds of drugs, you're eating healthy food. And what nobody talks about are the products you actually put on your body, from hand soap to deodorant to shampoo, even makeup. It's often loaded with toxic products. And so really beginning to learn how to read the labels is so important. And then there's this really cool new study on Parkinson's disease and ping pong, that they took this group of patients with Parkinson's, put them through a table tennis training program, significant improvements in Parkinson's symptoms. I'm actually doing a program with the United States of America Table Tennis Organization and Brain Health, but it was so fun to see how when they actually studied it, ping pong was helpful for Parkinson's.
So take up a new hobby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Well,
I
I'm
ride
really-
the stationary bike, and that really helps a lot. I don't know why, but everything seems much more coordinated after I get off.
Well, I'm
And I
glad
do
that
daily.
Yeah, I'm glad that you called and got a little bit of insight here. And you hold on, and I'm going to send you a copy of Dr. Amen's book. So it's coming your way. Anybody else, you can get a copy. You know, there's another little book that Dr. Amen did, and it's chock full of great memory verses that will help your brain in any kind of situation. And it's like a memory rescue full of scripture. And one of the great scriptures is Philippians 4:6-7. And it says this: "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, through prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." Now, I want to tell you something. I think some of you have been praying that God would help you. Maybe tuning into this program today is what God did for you, led you here. Maybe that's the miracle that it would be easy to miss, and I don't want you to miss it. So maybe you think back on what you've heard. What you've heard is, I'm not a victim here. There are things I can do. I may not be able to fix everything, but I can make the best of even the worst situation. And that's what we want to see you do. You could become a brain warrior, and you could really make a difference in how the end of your life is going to be. If you would like a copy of this book, The End of Mental Illness, it's just full of wisdom from Dr. Amen, and we love him. He's got this strong faith. He's got a great track record of helping people that I know, including my own personal self. Think of what I'd be like if I had never gone to Dr. Amen. Don't think about it. It would be a tragedy
We knew
for
you
my
then.
family and others. Yeah. All right. So anyway, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you have a gift, if you want it matched, we'll send you. It was a way of saying thank you. Dr. Amen's book, The End of Mental Illness. I'll do another program with Jill and Dr. Amen right after this. That number, 1-800-229-3000. And then come join me or tell somebody who's struggling with the aftermath of divorce to tune in today, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific, Facebook Live. It's called Going Deeper with Steve Arterburn. And we're taking this workbook, which is a life recovery 12-step workbook, and we're going through it. There are so many things that this little path along the 12 steps do. And when you get rid of the regret from your past and make things right and the dread of the future, boy, God can do some amazing things, and life can be really, really fun. We love you. Thank you, Dr. Amen. Thank you, Dr. Jill Hubbard. See you next time right here on New Life Live.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you. But you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for watching New Life Live on our New Life YouTube channel. You know, you can see it anytime. Hope you'll subscribe, and when you do, hope you'll turn that little button thing on, the bell, so that whenever we post a new video, it'll ring right through. Now, if you go to newlife.com, you'll see the schedule of when we're in the studio, which is helpful to know if you have a question for the program, or you could go to newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could do this on the app. I mean, there's so many ways that you can stay in touch with us and know when we're there, because we want to answer your questions. So thanks for watching right here on the New Life YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Click here to subscribe.